Hey, this is Dave coming at you from Michigan. This is kind of more of a plant nursery video. It's not construction. We're just taking the day off today. It's pretty cold and it's raining, and right now we're painting and staining the soffit board still over there, so just not a good day. But anyways, I wanted to do a video with the plants for a long time now. I got a couple topics that I wouldn't mind talking about, but one thing I'm really excited about that I actually finally figured out how to do it properly, and it took me about 3 years of just 100% failure, is I successfully grafted Japanese maples. And there's a lot of videos out there that show you how to do it. One person I can think of is it's a channel called Addie's Japanese Maples. Addie spelled Addies, which he's a guy from a southern state, based upon his accent. He has a really good tutorial on how to do it, but I think there are some things that are just missing that kind of that I might just fill the void of what I did. I've tried it a couple times in the winter, where you basically bring the rootstocks in about a month early to let the rootstocks try to come out of dormancy, and then you just take the scions off the trees outside that are dormant and graft them. I tried it once. The timing was off. I think that I took the scions off too late when the buds were already starting to swell, because it did start getting warmer. It was like April, real early April when I did it. So I had those fail. Then I tried the year after to do summer grafting. And then I took all the trees inside my house. I used the hot wax that you'll see on a lot of videos about waxing the top of a veneer graft. They all failed. So I'm just the type that I just don't want to give up on things, so I want to figure it out. And I finally figured out, and I did about 10 grafts, brought them inside the house around August 15th of this year. They looked like they were taking about 3 weeks. It looks like I lost 20 or 30% of them, and then an absolute failure again. I was frustrated, and then I realized one morning, when I'm very rarely in that room, that hot morning sun hit my grafts for about 45 minutes to an hour, and I didn't realize that. So then I started thinking, well, maybe they dried out. I had a little baggie over them, and I did the whole thing with the fungicide to keep, a little bit of moisture inside the little grafting bag to, keep the moisture high on it till the grafts took. Still failed. Kind of was just frustrated and, just not knowing what to do. Then I decided, you know what? The whole summer grafting, I came across a video where a guy basically said he did them as late as like September. And that it was literally like September 5th or 6th when I saw that information. And I'm like, you know what? He said he had success, and I'm going to try it just slightly different. So here we go. I'm going to show you them. I just didn't want to step out here because it's actually raining, so I figured I'd do the little spiel first. But these right here, all these pots here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3. There's 12 here. Every single one of them took. Every single one of them survived. So, like I said, I saw that video about April 5th or 6th. So I decided I put these, this is Tamukiyama. I grafted this on September 8th. Now we're at October 27th. So a good month and a half, month and 3 weeks have passed. So what I did differently is I grafted them. I didn't worry about bringing them in the house, taking them away from the weather. This is a north wall, so it gets 100% shade the entire time. It does not get hit with any direct sunlight. And this time I did not use the hot wax. I saw this grafting technique from a professional grafter that just grafts right in the nursery on other big trees. But I decided he looked like he knew what he was doing, like he grafts for like 40 years. So I'm like, I'm going to just try what like this Maine professional does. This guy that he looks like the real deal. What he does is he grafts like you would the veneer. You slice it, and there's so many videos on that. I'm not even going to go over with it. There's so many of how to cut a slat, and then, but I do cut the actual point on my scion about a 1/2 inch. And I do try to make, and that's one thing I did try in this a little bit differently. You have to line up the one side, because oftentimes the rootstock is wider than the actual scion, which in this case, this is like 4 times bigger than this. I actually made an extra effort to cut the veneer notch in the rootstock and the wedge on the scion exactly the same length, to where when you, not only are you lining up the side, you're lining up the top crown. And believe it or not, these ones, I didn't cut the top notch off of the rootstock like you see a lot of times. They cut off the 1/8 inch top. I didn't do that this time because the ones that I buy from a company, it doesn't look like they do either. So there's all these little things that I did. You can see, and my camera's horrible on my iPhone, but I'm going to try to get in here. This one still has the nice red color. It's got buds on it. And there's a couple, whoa, I just literally just soaked myself with the backlash of that branch. That's so cool. But all I did, I didn't use the hot wax this time. I wrapped it like you usually would, lined up the side. And I always, for some reason with me, I don't know if it's because just my preference, I always line it up on the left side of the graft. It just seems like it's just naturally the way my hands want to work. And then this time, what I did is I wrapped it, and then sometimes you'll have a little leftover wrap, and I just gently brought it up and over, and I just wedged it down. And you can see, instead of me doing hot wax, I just wedged some grafting tape on the tops, which would keep water from going out. Then what I did, which I think there's a couple reasons why this succeeded. Number one, the weather was cooler. It's September. I also, on my laughs grafts, and you can buy these, you can just order, just put grafting bags. You'll find bags that are about 6 inches long by about 1.5 inches wide. You can find them all over online. I put the bag over it, and you slice the side bag. Now, there's videos that show that, but the difference is I actually took waxing tape or grafting tape, and you just pull it and stretch it and kind of loop it, and it turns into almost like an elastable string. And I just tied a light knot, and I closed that almost like a greenhouse, like that. And it worked. Every single one of these, 13 out of 13 or whatever I counted. I think I took 2 out here that I thought were going to take from in the house, and they actually ended up failing because they got hit by the sun too much. Here's another one. Let me see. You can see this one's a bigger scion, so you might be able to see this. You just see that nice, fresh, greenish red color with some nice fresh buds for next year. You can clearly see that these grafts took. A lot of videos say that you can tell that they're taking within 2 weeks. And that's another thing that I find that's a little inaccurate. I could tell that you will know by 3.5 weeks, like for sure, whether they've lived or died. You will know for sure. Within the 2 week to 2.5 week marker, you'll start seeing them just die off, and you'll see them start turning gray on the bottoms and brown. And from what I've seen, I think my problem's been the scion and the actual graft dries out long before the graft can take. So I think that what contributed to the success with this is I did it actually in late summer. I did it when the weather was cooler, where it wasn't getting up higher than 70 degrees. I left it on a north wall, which had no sun on it. I tied it this time, and I did not use hot wax. Like, when I say hot wax, you're using wax, but what I found with the wax is you have to heat it up with a torch just to get the wax workable enough to even use it. So I'm not a big fan of the wax. I know that I'm sure there's a lot of pros out there that would see this like, oh, I use wax all the time, or I do it this way. But when you have 3 years of absolute 100% failure, and then you have basically 100% 11 out of 11 that I actually left out here the whole time, and I did them all. I just took the bag off of this one, and I'm not really sure. That's another thing that I'm not really sure whether I want to leave these bags on like this out here in the winter the whole time, or literally just take it off. And I think I'm just going to wait another week until it starts getting really cold. And I'm just going to take these bags off, carefully put leaves around them, and these should survive through the winter just the way it is. But anyways, I just wanted to do a quick video of what I've been doing when I'm not working on the house. And I know that there are some people that subscribe to my channel that subscribed originally for plant stuff, and I'm still really into it. It's just that we've been so overwhelmed with the priority of building our house. So I'm going to try to keep both types of videos coming, the construction stuff and the plant stuff. And there's some cuttings I did too through the summer that took really well, and I look forward to doing more videos. But anyways, that's a video on how my Japanese maples I finally figured out how to do them. All right, this is Dave signing off.